part 2. What we're looking at in this particular unit is international trade. And one of the basic questions is, why is international trade such an important aspect of marketing? Well, it is, and we've identified 4 basic things in the last number of years that have contributed to the importance of international marketing. And if you look on page 168, you will see that there are 4 trends identified. First of all, a gradual decline in economic protectionism. What that means is countries no longer have artificial borders put up to prevent trade between themselves. In Canada, for example, we used to have big borders put up to prevent other countries from shipping in shoes and footwear because we wanted to protect a Canadian industry in footwear. However, the thing is that Canadian industry did not have a competitive advantage. In other words, they couldn't produce shoes at a less expensive, better quality product than other countries such as China or such as India or such as Italy. These artificial trade barriers prevented these other countries from shipping us shoes, or effectively prevented it by driving the price up. Over the last 20 years or so, we've seen the free trade agreement between Canada and the United States, the North American Free Trade Agreement emerged from that, and that was an example of Canada, the United States, and Mexico working together to reduce trade barriers. We've also seen the European Union form. We've seen Asia trade blocs form. We have seen numerous trading agreements. And these trading agreements generally have reduced the barriers to trade. So as a result, international trade has become even more important in the Canadian economy. The second trend is that the formal economic integration of countries and all of their economic systems has really become a popular trend. Canada and the United States has not strictly engaged in any formal economic integration. We still use a Canadian dollar, the US still uses a US dollar. However, in Europe, the euro has replaced currencies of the European countries. They've created a common currency. In other words, they've moved from reducing barriers to acting as a single entity, and that single entity has allowed them to become more competitive. The third trend is that global competition among global companies for global customers has become more commonplace. If we look at very large companies, for example, Walmart, General Motors, Toyota, we can say, okay, they're from US, they're from Japan, they're from Germany, but they're world companies. Their headquarters may be located in one part of the world, but they operate all over the world. And they compete with one another all over the world. So we see an increased amount of global competition. Canadian companies such as Bombardier, for example, sell business jets all over the world, and they compete against other world companies. And it's important that they be able to do that, and we have to make sure that the Canadian government makes sure that our companies are competitive, because ultimately it affects the jobs in this country. If our companies are competitive, they will employ Canadian workers. Employed Canadian workers increase our overall standard of living. The fourth trend that's noted is that a network of a global marketplace has evolved over the last number of years. And we largely thank the internet and computer power for this. If you think about your ability to go on the internet and go anywhere in the world at the click of a mouse, it just shows you how much the world has shrunk. We can literally go anywhere in the world in an instant. And because of that, these artificial political borders that exist, or have existed, are starting to tear down, and as a result, trade tends to flow to its lowest cost, most competitive advantage spot. So it has increased the amount of trade in the world, certainly. So these are some very important points that you need to be aware of that legitimize why trade and international marketing has become so important over the last number of years.